Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer. Let's take a look at the Kentucky Derby prep on March the 14th at Oaklawn. It's the Grade 2 $1 million Rebel Stakes, and it features Nadal breaking from the inside post, Mike. Nadal had to deal with 2 turns, shipping, a wet track, and a fast pace. To say he handled it with aplomb, it's an understatement. He ran very well.
Yeah, we can give this horse some extra credit for the final result here because, as you see from the gate here, they just went with his speed from the start, but so did the returning American Theorem, who just really had designs on the lead that he went right after Nadal early, and they hooked it up almost right away.
No Parole was part of the pace picture for the first quarter mile, but Joel Rosario was intent on the lead with Nadal, and he and the returning American Theorem, they threw it down. First quarter mile, 22.89, a half, and a very strong 46 seconds flat. And you would think, with these two opening up on the field, that there would be a closer coming with a run. You see 3 Technique in this race. 3 Technique is the number 6. He's in mid-pack. You've got Basin in here, the number 3 in mid-pack, and way at the back is the 82-to-1 shot Accession, who I think might have gotten the best ride in the race.
Yeah, there was a closer making a run in this race. It was the big long shot Accession, who did get a great trip and ride in this race. As far as some of the others you mentioned, though, Dan, Basin, 3 Technique, even Silver Prospector, I don't know. I was a little surprised that their riders were so intent to keep them close to this pace because they were clearly going fast and none of them really wanted to sit too far off it.
That's a very, very good point. And the horse that did sit way out of it, Accession, at 82-to-1, able to save ground coming into the stretch, has a look at Nadal in mid-stretch, and Nadal flicks him away. Now, Nadal's a better horse than Accession, but considering the pace scenario, I don't think anyone would have faulted Nadal if he got run down by that big horse. Let's give Nadal some credit as well.
Yeah, he deserves some extra credit. I mean, American Theorem, who's a nice horse, and listen, you do want to always keep in mind that American Theorem is making his first start off a very long layoff here, so there was a lot working against him. He was only beaten about 27 lengths in this race, though. Nadal really put that horse away nicely. If ever Accession or any horse was going to pull off a big upset in a race like this, it was going to be in a situation like that where Nadal had the race taken to him the entire way, never got a breather. Give Nadal some extra credit for holding on here.
And No Parole, the third horse in the early portion of that race, got beat a country mile as well. So really nice race from Nadal. Let's talk about the also-rans in here. They all have the built-in excuse of the wet track. They didn't have to like it. Basin, the third-place finisher, beaten almost 8 lengths, had an excuse of a long layoff as well. We had not seen this horse since he won the Hopeful in September. Can you see a horse like Basin getting fast going next time out, perhaps improve drastically? Or do you feel he's more of a 7 furlong to a mile and a 16th type?
I'd give him another chance going long. As you mentioned, this was a layoff and a fast-paced race. In a layoff, your first start back from a layoff, I mean, you get your fitness tested right away. He did get tired in this race. Overall, he made a little bit of a run into it. He got tired. I think he was supposed to get tired the way this race was run. I'd give him one more chance.
3 Technique has kind of had some bad luck in his 2 preps. He raced in the Smarty Jones, a race over a wet track, dominated on the front through slow fractions by a mud lark. Now he catches another wet track, and he catches a pretty good horse in Nadal. I thought all things considered, his effort wasn't bad. You can give him excuses, but he's kind of running out of time to make his presence felt on the Derby scene.
I think that's true, but maybe more than anyone else in this race, he's the one I want to give one more chance to, Dan. As you mentioned, 2 wet tracks. In this race, he was just wide the entire way. And again, I'm just not so sure why they wanted to keep him so close to the pace up the backstretch. He's a horse who showed as a 2-year-old that he will sit back and make one big run, and they have not done that with him yet as a 3-year-old. I don't know why they were so intent to keep him close in this race.
Perhaps the most perplexing performance for me to analyze was that of Silver Prospector, because we know he likes a wet track. He showed that at Churchill Downs when he beat Tiz the Law as a 2-year-old. And in analyzing his races at Oaklawn, he had an excuse in the Smarty Jones like 3 Technique. He had no pace to run at. It was a wet track. He ran very well. Then he got a perfect trip when he won the Southwest. Here in the Rebel, he just didn't fire at all. And I'm beginning to wonder if he's already hit his peak.
Yeah, I wonder too. To me, he was more disappointing than anyone in here. I know that he's won over a wet track before, but maybe it's not his favorite surface, Dan. In this race, I mean, when they got through that second turn, he was sitting right behind Nadal. He looked like a very dangerous horse at that point in the race, and he just didn't fire at all through the stretch. He was very disappointing.
Let's talk about Accession, who did come with that late run to finish second. This is a horse that had previously campaigned at the Fairgrounds with middling success at best. I really think he likes a wet track. I think that helped him out. The pace situation and the ride and the trip that he received also helped him out, but he got a lot of points for this race. I'm assuming they're going to keep going with him. And in the Derby, whenever that is run, you know, when you have a late kick, you always have a puncher's chance at a big price.
I mean, I guess that's true, but boy, if they were ever going to pull off an upset and win a race like this, wasn't it going to be the Rebel, where he just had everything go his way? And he got a terrific ride too, saving all the ground, coming clear in the stretch, dead aim on Nadal, and he was turned away. To me, he's hard to take going forward, but we'll see.
Now, Nadal received a 96 Buyer speed figure. He is a perfect 3 for 3. I like that how Baffert has managed him. A short, incremental, moving forward in distance from start to start. This is a horse that has always been very well thought of. A $65,000 yearling. What a pinhook. $700,000 as a 2-year-old was Nadal. He's by Breeders' Cup Classic winner Blame. And when you look back in this pedigree, there is enough class and distance where I think he could successfully navigate a classic distance.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see why he wouldn't be able to either. We'll just see what happens and where he goes from here, because as good as he's looked, and I have no knocks on this horse, I like all of his races. He's not that brilliant kind of 3-year-old like some of the other ones in Baffert's barn. He's not that. He's a very workmanlike kind of horse, but he's good and he's got speed and carries it. This was a very, I don't want to say it's underrated. Everybody saw it. Everybody knows how well he ran, but he's going to probably have to do better than that going forward.
It's amazing that this is Baffert's world yet again. He has Authentic. He has Charlatan, 2 starts, 2 triple-digit buyers. He has the undefeated Nadal. And for most trainers, Azul Coast, who already has an automatic berth in the Preakness, would be a pretty nice first stringer, and he is relegated to the bench. The Grade 2 Rebel won in impressive fashion over a wet track by Nadal with a 96 Buyer speed figure.